Good morning, Jeff Surber, Operations Section Chief with Great Basin Team 1 on the Dixie Fire, the east zone of the Dixie Fire with the morning report. I'm gonna focus mostly on what's changed since yesterday, but to start out, we'll talk about a little bit about the area that's burned over the last several weeks. We still have personnel on that area, and they are working on areas within the wilderness to make sure that there's no possibility of escape from that wilderness fire, and that'll continue on. So we have a small contingent of people on what we call Division XX and WW, which is back on the tail end of the fire. As we move forward into the Valley group and some of the areas that have burned more recently, we still have quite a few personnel. We've got personnel in Taylorsville, all along any of these areas that are still shown as being hot line, which is mostly the red areas that still have quite a bit of heat around them before we turn them black when consider them contained. So we still have personnel in these groups like Valley Group and Huff Group and Davis Group, and working with heavy equipment mostly down in this area to try to prevent the fire spread to the south towards Greenhorn and Kronberg. But coming around here onto what we call our Division Romeo last night, starting actually yesterday afternoon, favorable wind conditions came out of the southwest, and we were able to burn from drop point 612 down into drop point 606. That was hung up this morning early by the night shift folks down here at drop point 606, where there's a confluence of two dozer lines. They hung it up right here. We plan to use what was originally going to be a containment line heading off in a northeasterly direction over to drop point 614. We weren't able to get that line complete into the old Walker burn from 2019 before the fire advanced yesterday several miles to the south and east. So what this will become is a check line where we burn off that check line, carry it out so far to probably towards Little Grizzly Creek, and try to check this fire spread coming to the south. In the meantime, this line is being constructed. It's partially constructed now, and we plan to bring it back over to the Beckworth-Genesee Road out towards Davis. And this will be our primary line eventually to continue a burnout operation down Grizzly Ridge and over towards Lake Davis, and then try to turn this corner and bring that dozer line back up into the Walker Fire of 2019 to block its forward spread to the southeast and back out towards 395. So for the next 2 to 3 days, we're going to have southwest winds expected, which will be favorable for this side of the fire and for our burn operation on Grizzly Ridge. But it will be unfavorable for fire movement that wraps around the old Walker Fire and could possibly go make its way between the Walker 2019 fire and the Sugar Fire and the Beckworth Fire out here to the east. So that's our intent here today, is to continue to construct this line and continue to burn this line when we have that favorable southwest wind, without trying not to lay so much fire that we make a large fire that could pass by the Walker Fire and pass through this area before we're able to build the rest of this. But our priorities are to keep it away from Greenhorn and Kronberg and Portola down the 70 corridor, and push it out this way into the old fire as much as possible. So that's what our intent is here, and that's where all of our equipment, I shouldn't say all of it, the majority of our equipment and resources are down here trying to wrap this last little part of the fire up. As we move back out here, our neighbors to the north on the west zone, the CAL FIRE type 1, Team 1, is managing this piece of fire that occurred in the last week or two. They have a little hot spot over here towards 395 that they're dealing with, trying to wrap that up and keep it from being able to continue on down the 395 corridor. But that team is handling this portion of the fire. And then as we wrap back up through here, the fire, as it moved east in this area all the way from, you can see where the fire meets the Walker Fire of 2019 here over to Antelope Lake. That is all caught up in the old Walker Fire, and it's not moving. It's moving slightly into that old fire from 2 years ago, but it can't sustain itself very well. So we don't have a lot of worry about that fire actually moving through the old fire. And that's it for today.